If the only goal is to build muscle, we're not interested in
There's not many exercises that are in literally every program that I do.
biceps, look at back, triceps, chest, legs in general, shoulders. Really, when it comes to picking movements, pick movements which exercises that you should probably just flat out avoid if your goal is to build muscle.
I'm Ryan Stevens.
Dr. Taylor Waters.
I'm Ben Oliver.
Welcome to the Supra Human Show, yeah?
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Supra Human Show with your hosts, Ben Oliver, the Doc, Taylor Waters, and Mr. Ryan Stevens. So today, best and worst exercises for building muscle. Turkish get-ups. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.
Anything with the kettlebell.
I mean, I've probably got a few that jump straight to the top of my mind of like, they are just useless movements when it comes to building muscle. Like, I mean, I would argue they're pretty useless in general, but I'm sure someone could justify how they could be used. But
Like a Turkish get-up.
Turkish get-up is one of them.
Well, let's have some sort of system here.
Okay,
We'll
go worst first.
Should we go from the lower, no, what's
Worst first.
How about we go by muscle groups? So we start off at the feet and then work up.
God, we'll be here all day.
So we'll go like legs and then select, because you'll see muscle movement.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll just do legs in general. They're not calves and shins.
Yeah. Tibialis anterior.
Yeah.
All right, that.
Legs.
So let's go best. If you're going to build
Yeah, or do your favorite leg exercises.
bearing in mind it's mass, we're looking just to
building muscle.
big legs. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go, my top two would be a lying leg curl and either a leg press or a hack squat, depending on, some people will struggle with hack squat because of knee issues, and it seems to be leg press is more in their favor. But I think if you did those two, you would have a decent set of pins if you just got really strong on those two.
Yeah.
I just feel like lying leg curl.
Lying over seated.
I think like seated does have an advantage of you've got some hip kind of flexion as well, but I think you can probably load up a lying leg curl a little bit more. But again, so I would say seated or lying leg curl, leg press or a hack squat.
Yeah.
And you just like those two, and if you just got crazy strong at those, I think you'd be pretty good.
I agree with that, and I would think that would cover like pretty much everyone. So like because a lot of people, they'll say like, oh, back squat, and it's like, well, if you've got like a 7-foot bloke that's like really long legs, like back squat is probably not the best thing.
It's useless.
Yeah, it's useless.
They're basically doing good mornings.
Whereas like if you said any person could do like leg curl and leg press and get like jacked legs, couldn't they?
On the continuum of best to worst, the back squat would be somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't put it anywhere near the best exercises. There's a lot I would choose.
It's I would say, because there's a large skill component to it, it ticks a lot of boxes. Like in terms of it pretty much trains your whole lower body. If you do want any kind of quote unquote function, like, you know, a squat movement pattern is very useful. Spatial awareness, things like that. Like there is a little bit of upper body involvement, you know, keeping your back tight. It's basically like an isometric hold for your back. Core stability, which
but when you're talking about building big legs, these are all additional benefits.
For sure, But I think like there's way too many other limiting factors outside of leg strength when it comes to back squats.
Mainly your lower back.
So if you've got a really strong lower back squats can be great.
I think if you want to categorize, it's like the lowest skill movement that you can get that works all the leg muscles at the same time. So like a leg press and a hamstring curl is great. They're relatively low skill.
I changed my view on this because again, the way that we were taught how to train was you learn the compound lifts, like you what is it, like the 6 movement patterns? It's like push, pull, hip hinge, squat. I can't remember the other two.
Was it like a vertical push?
Vertical push.
So you're basically horizontal and vertical pull push.
But like you learn those basic movement patterns, and then you progress to isolation movements, machines, things like that. But and again, we were talking about it yesterday, if the only goal is to build muscle, we're not interested in function. We're not interested in performance. We're not interested in being mobile. We just want to pack on mass. I'm going to basically be doing a pure machine and cable based program. I'm probably not even going to touch a barbell or a dumbbell because there's just a waste of time from a injury standpoint and a skill learning standpoint. I want to just sit someone down and go, do this as hard as you can. Like basically like pick movements that are really hard to fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, and if you do that, then and just get strong on those, you go pretty far.
And the thing is as well, for like the general population, when they say like functional, it's like a squat. You just need to be able to sit down and stand up. You don't need to have like a bar on your back. Do you know what I mean? This is like athletic performance, so you can get away.
When people doing power cleans, the guy's functional. It's like, would you put your shopping over your fucking head? Like,
It's just, they pick up the shopping from the floor. And it's like,
like a single arm farmer's carry is about as close to like real world application as
what
as
a
we
really
get.
heavy suitcase.
Like carrying your suitcase and carrying your shopping. That's about all you do. Or like a sandbag carry if you're holding your kid. Like, that's about as functional as it needs to be.
When you look at like modern work, modern jobs, the functional, like the physical function you need to be able to do them is not.
You need to be able to hunch your back over, stick your neck forward, and flex your
and
arms
wiggle your
and do
fingers
this.
for a while.
geez, I spend all my time doing pulling because I'm leant over a desk like this.
Yeah.
But okay, so going back to the legs, like worst movements for legs.
Hammies, leg press, I'm same.
Yeah,
Same.
we can all agree on those two.
We'd
So
all
what
agree.
worst movements, lower body? It's funny because the worst movements I find, they tend to be full body movements.
I would say they're the worst purely from what you said, Ben, because they have other limiting factors.
And like, how much can you load it? Like, how much can you load like a lateral lunge or like a Turkish get up or something like that? Like, you're so limited by other things and how much you can like. You're never gonna burn out your legs doing a Turkish get up. Like, you're gonna be limited by your shoulder stability. But like, it seems to always be like the move. Like, same with like power cleans and Olympic lifts and stuff. It's like you're limited by your technique. Like, it's very, unless you're an Olympic lifter, then even then you're probably still going to be limited to an extent by your technique, but then you just need to get stronger. For 99.9% of people, it will always be a skill deficit, not a strength deficit with their Olympic lifts.
Yeah, it's like you can front squat like from deep a good amount of weight.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to clean it and they're trying to catch it down there and it's just failing.
I mean, my like at my best strength, like my best front squat was 200 kilos. Deadlift was about 270. My best power clean was 130. And it's like, well, based on your strength numbers, you should be able to power clean 180.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the skill component for it.
I think there's obviously going to be some preference here. So some of the exercises that I might reel off, they are still pretty good, but I just don't like step ups. I'm not a big step up guy.
Yeah, I think it's just like a stability component.
Yeah,
to it.
anything where balance becomes a major issue. So even like a Bulgarian split squat for some people, they can't balance well enough to load it to any certain degree. And then when the leg starts to fatigue, they lose balance. Whereas
The Hatfield style. So I'm a big fan of the Bulgarian split squat. Is it Hatfield style where they hold on for balance?
Yeah,
that's a really good one. That is.
it's like unstable training. I think it isn't very good for hypertrophy. Like, just for again, I'm not saying you can't build muscle doing those movements, but you're not using the best tool for the job. Like, you can hit a nail in with the end of a screwdriver, or you could use a big fucking hammer
and just
and this is like when you look at CrossFitters where they're in great shape. You can build muscle doing burpees. You just have to do 50,000 of them, or you could do 4 sets of bench press and be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so you absolutely can use those different tools, but you're picking a really inefficient way of getting there.
It's almost like you're either limited by, like, if we look at like single leg training, you're limited by like balancing, aren't you?
Yep.
Or like complex movements like back squat is going to be a skill deficit, or other things like your lower back is going to give out before your actual legs. Whereas like a leg press, you're pretty much low skill, locked in, and it's fully concentrated on your legs, isn't it?
Yeah. Like when so leg wise, really anything single leg unstable isn't going to be a great movement. If we go into kind of upper body now, well, like, let's look at back. For example, this would be a controversial one. I really don't like barbell bent over rows as a good muscle builder, and I would say that, and someone probably commented with like, "Oh, Dorian Yates had the best back in the world, and he did barbell rows." It's like, all right, but one, he was strong as shit.
Yeah,
his form was meticulous. Most people that I see doing barbell bent over rows, they're not even bent over; they're doing some kind of like thigh drag, shrug, going from like mid thigh up to their waist. There's no back recruitment. They're kind of just like
they're not retracting the. Like I was saying this the other day. Like with a row, to build big back for maximum back recruitment, you're looking to retract the shoulder blades back, and then they're going to protract. But they don't do it. They just pull the bar to the stomach, and you look at the shoulder blades, and they haven't even retracted back at all. They're just pulling with the bicep.
If you're looking at like lat recruitment, where you're kind of driving down into your hip, and you could argue, well, I'm trying to work my lower lats, but there's better movements. There's way better movements for that.
Yeah.
Well, you're essentially limited by your lower back on a barbell bend over row, aren't you?
Yeah, especially again, if you've done any hard hammy training as well, like you're gonna, again, depending on which way you set up the program, but it's like your hammies are gonna be tender, and then it's like your lower back starting to give way, and then like if you're doing any heavy hip hinging throughout the week, I don't then add in bent over rows where it's gonna be like a stability issue then.
Like a pendlay row, I would like if I had to do a bent over row, it'd be like a pendlay, like a dead stop where your back is level to the floor. I think there's just a bit more control there. But even then, that's more of like an explosive strength movement as opposed to like a muscle building one. But compare that to anything chest supported. Like
chest supported, chest support,
100% T-bar row,
better
incline bench, kind of dumbbell row, where you're not worried about your lower back giving out, and you're purely focusing on that kind of protraction and retraction.
That's why I'm a big fan of machines for back. Purely from that standpoint. I suppose when you use a bench as well, you're taking your lower back out of it too. So because you can fully concentrate on squeezing your shoulder blades together.
Yeah, like if you got an incline dumbbell row, if you're training from like a home gym where you haven't got access to machines, I always go incline dumbbell row. If I've got access to the right machines, any sort of chest supported row.
See, I really like single arm cable rows, but not kind of like, we always make a joke of how everyone's kind of sat and they're, getting themselves fixed and doing this kind of really strict row. Whereas I'm more like starting up a lawnmower kind of thing where I'm looking at twisting, rotating. But I think just the like the strength curve compared to a dumbbell row, if I get really strong on single arm cable rows and I go back to dumbbell rows, they always get stronger, but it doesn't carry over the other way. So in my head, it's like, well, then that trumps that one, because if I just do this, then the other one gets stronger as a byproduct, but it doesn't work the other way. I kind of I try and find those movements that have the biggest carryover to everything else, where like if you get really strong at weighted dips, your close grip bench is probably going to go up. But maybe if your close grip bench goes up, your dips don't go up. And it's like you find like the kings of all the different kind of movements that have the biggest carryover and just get crazy strong on those ones.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Another one, when people are looking, they say, to build a big back, and they go on about like rack pulls.
Yeah, like a lower back movement. Even deadlifts, I don't think are a great back builder. I think they can offer some, like we talk about that kind of density that powerlifters will get from just years of
that, like erector. Like if you got a real strong deadlift and you've been like hitting deadlifts for years, like Ryan, you were obviously from a powerlifting background, and his erectors are so thick. You can see them at the back, where I was never a big deadlifter, and you see my erectors at the back, and they're like little guitar strings.
But I think there's probably better movements like a Romanian deadlift or something, which is going to hit it the same. You could still load it up heavy. Because with deadlifts, most people, they don't control the eccentric, and it's pure concentric movements aren't great muscle builders. That's why Olympic lifts generally suck for muscle building. The time under tension is basically zero, and then you're dropping the bar.
If hypertrophy was the main goal, like a stiff leg deadlift is going to be far superior to like just a conventional deadlift.
Yeah, and then I mean, I wouldn't say pull-ups are like the worst back exercise, but for most people, they're too hard to focus on a good contraction with your lats, and you're more focused about getting your chin over the bar. And I would always opt for a lat pull down as opposed to a pull-up if my goal is to build the best back that I can build. Again, that's if you're training at home in your garage, to say pull-ups aren't good is completely wrong. So I definitely wouldn't put them in the worst, but I would say lat pull downs are better.
A lat pull down for most people is going to be a better option. Like again, if I'm training just to get a strong pull-up, I'll obviously load a pull-up pretty heavy. But then there are times where even going assisted pull-ups allows you
even
to get
a light
much better contraction with the actual lat. So, again, it depends on the strip. But like for people to be so good at pull-ups, they're able to get consistent good contractions throughout the whole working set. It's going to be pretty tough.
Like that exercise is difficult for most people, isn't it? So when you can just chuck them on a lat pull down.
There's a really there's a funny video of a guy called Pat Davidson, one of Tyler's friends.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And so he basically made a post about pull-ups being a
He's
terrible.
the stumpy bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, he was basically made a
I
post
hope you
about.
don't watch this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stumpy Pat.
Don't worry, he won't. He made a post about pull-ups being a poor back development exercise and that you should do pull downs. And then someone commented and was like, "Oh, that's just because you can't do them." And he commented, he's like, "I could do a pull-up with 135 pounds hanging off me without ever training it." And the guy's like, "Go on then." And so he makes a video where he does like body weight first. He's like almost doing a muscle up, and then he puts all the plates on, and then he does 3 reps with 135, and then he's just like, "Fuck you." And then but like as he's doing it, he's like, "As predicted, this is easy." And but it's just a hilarious video.
Yeah.
But it was a great point.
He's an absolute tank of a bloke. Although I saw didn't he prep for a show?
Yeah,
Didn't look,
physique's
yeah.
questionable.
He didn't look dialed in.
That's the perfect example of like you just don't have it.
Yeah.
It's not for lack of work ethic or trying. It's like you just don't have the shape.
Yeah.
And it's like, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm never playing in the NBA.
What
okay.
muscle group now then?
So chest.
I don't train it.
Yeah. Right, you stay out of this one. There's nothing really that I would say like is the worst movement.
No, they all have a lot of crossover, don't they?
Because they're all essentially if you're training your chest, you're either doing a fly or a press, like a horizontal kind of press. Decline bench, I'm not a huge fan of.
What people do is they can usually shift a good amount of weight on a
That's why
decline
they
press
do it.
because the range of motion
Yeah.
is limited. So they hit the decline. Like, oh, I love a decline press. And it's like, yeah, but it's because your ego allows you to lift.
I also just don't like it's really not safe unless you've got safety bars there.
Yeah.
It's like incline bench, the bar can't crush your neck because it's going to roll down.
Yeah.
Bench, it's going to go directly down. Decline, it's going straight to you're going to guillotine yourself
straight to the throat.
I do like dumbbell press as well, just a little bit easier on my shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, like best movements. If I had to pick one, it's probably going to be an incline dumbbell press.
Yeah.
For overall chest development.
There's always some great like plate loaded chest presses out there that are phenomenal.
Worst, it's probably gonna be something like a standing cable chest press or something.
Yeah,
Because
single arm chest work. And
you're going to be limited by your core stability.
Yeah.
How much you can just actually stand. You see people like they grab the pulleys and they're trying to like.
You can't scale that exercise for like progressive
Yeah.
overload.
No.
Yeah, again, anything unstable, like if you're doing like TRX push-ups or something,
Yeah. Ring
again,
dips.
not a bad movement by any means,
Yeah.
but if your goal is for like maximum muscle, probably not the go-to.
I do like cable work can be quite nice for a pec. So like an incline cable fly.
Yeah,
So you want to get an incline bench, get really, and like the strength curve on it is really good. Like I don't like dumbbell flies. Like as you come up and
well,
like
it's like
past here, there's
tearing your
nothing.
pec here, and there you could move a mountain.
Yeah,
so it's
Whereas on a cable, it's like a very consistent.
even like a pec deck.
Yeah.
like, it's way better.
I find when people use dumbbells, they go way too far back. It's like your chest is fully lengthened here, and then they go, oh, your shoulder's gone.
Yeah.
So I don't do dumbbell flies. I rarely program them. I do sometimes if it depends on what kit's available. But for a fly, I'll generally use a machine or a cable.
Yeah.
And then I'll use dumbbells then or barbells for presses.
I think in finishing off like a chest workout with some sort of fly is good, just to finish off with a
Like
stretch.
a stretch.
Yeah.
Shoulders
Lat raises all
Side
day.
lat raise.
Just all of
day.
them.
as the best.
Is the best, yeah.
What kind of lateral raise?
I like dumbbells. I like cables.
Yeah.
Single arm
I
cables.
I don't see, some people go like cuffed cable.
Yeah,
Some people, dumbbells do the job just fine.
I remember Cuba went like everyone was using cuffs, and then he said, "Oh, and if you want to recruit your forearm, you put the cuff on and then held a handle that was unattached to the pulley." And he's like, "Oh, if you squeeze the handle whilst you're using your cuff," and it's like, or just attach the fucking handle to the
Just
cable
hold that.
and do it like a normal person.
How complicated can you make
Yeah.
an isolation movement for
Yeah.
a delt?
I tell you what I wouldn't do. You know the one where they like put a bench in between like the dual cable pulley machine, lie back, use the cuffs. Like fucking take an hour just for a lat
just,
raise.
It's not a bad movement, but I will never do it just purely from the setup.
Yeah,
It
set.
just get a set of dumbbells.
That's the same guys who are like, oh, I'm in the gym for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's because you're unemployed or single.
Like machine lateral raises tend to be quite good just because the strength with dumbbells, it's like really hard at the top and again super easy at the bottom. Machines, it tends to even out the strength curve a little bit. Same with cables.
Yeah.
But I did lateral raises without cables or machines for 10 years
Yeah.
and was absolutely fine.
It's the lateral raise. There's not many exercises that are in literally every program that I do.
Yeah.
The lateral raise, I very rarely leave that out of any, especially for myself. I've never left them out.
As far as the worst exercise, I'm going to go with a barbell upright row.
Maybe a
Remember the
dumbbell
old
front
school,
raise?
like your hands will be really close, and it's basically like shoulder impingement reps.
Yeah.
Like it's just a really
The
poor,
narrow grip upright barbell
like
row.
a barbell high pull with a wider grip, or
Wider grip,
dumbbells where you can go out and they're a bit more free moving. Not bad, but you could even look at it as like, if you look at what your shoulder's actually doing, you're basically doing a shortened lever lateral raise. Like you're just going out here as opposed to out here.
Yeah.
So in my head, it's like, well, I can use less weight, which is going to be less stress on my joints if I just
And
go
there's
out.
going to be less like rotational tension on there as well.
Another one I don't do is a front raise, just because like if you're pressing and stuff, your front delt is taken care of.
I used to do them all the time, but you end up getting overdeveloped front delts and rounding over.
Again, when you're pressing as much as most people are, there's just no need for additional front delt work.
Yeah.
I quite like a front raise, because obviously you can front raise like this, but if you can also front raise like this, and you do actually bring more like medial delt in this angle here, as obviously the shoulder rotates round. So I don't mind those, but you're rarely going to see me like this front raising just to bring the.
It's more of an
front
ego
head in
movement. Like I used to do them heavy just because Branch Warren,
Ben Warren,
my idol. But my hero.
He used to be slinging around like 50 pounds, 50, 60
100-pound dumbbells, just checking them out.
on that little like front head of a delt.
Yeah.
Imagine the impingements he's probably dealing with.
But
Here we are.
like
50 sets of lateral raises, job done.
Yeah.
any lateral raise is probably going to be the best. Yeah, like worst. Yeah, like a close grip upright row, probably not great.
Yeah.
Any kind of shoulder press is pretty reasonable. Like a machine or a hammer strength movement, dumbbells, barbell. It's really just, barbell. You might be limited by your mobility and lower back and things like that. Like I know of a lot of guys that have hurt their lower back doing overhead pressing.
Yeah.
Because
It's
they
just
haven't got
compression
that
on the spine.
they haven't got that stability, because we used to always say like you squeeze your glutes as hard as you can to keep your lower back stable. Most people will arch and almost turn it into an incline press to get a bit of leverage, but it's like that. It's like that. It's like you've just got it pushing on your lower back.
Especially people haven't got the mobility to have their arm travel like straight up.
Yeah.
So like they're limited like here. So as they're trying to press, they're like trying to lean back to get under the bar, rather than like if you've got good mobility, you can press it and you can stick your head through and then you're directly under the bar.
Yeah.
But if you're limited in that range of motion, it's
Triceps.
All of them.
Dumbbell tricep kickback is dog shit.
Rubbish. Rubbish.
The strength
Strength
curve
curve
on that could not be worse.
Yeah, they are
Like,
shambles.
yeah.
I normally see that in like classes, like group classes.
Yeah.
There's,
Where they
like-
got the little pink dumbbells and they're like that. You can do those.
If you use a pulley, bit different. But again, if you're leaning forward and using a pulley, it's no different than standing upright and going down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think kickbacks are probably the worst.
Push downs and overhead extensions.
An overhead. If I had to choose one, it would probably be the overhead extension. So an overhead rope extension.
But if I just had to pick one, and that's it, it's either going to be a close grip bench or an upright parallel dip, just to hit all heads of your tricep and just get some thick arms.
In saying that, I do like a dip. I got dips in my current setup now, and
I agree with the overhead, because I did years and years and years where barbell skull crushers hurt my elbows, so I never did any kind of
they're trash.
overhead ones.
They are good. Like they're a good tricep builder, but they always fuck up people's elbows.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But I didn't know that you could do them with dumbbells, and I realized that was way easier. So all of my tricep training was push downs. So you have this really big kind of like lateral head of your tricep, and then I don't even know what the fucking name is. The long head. The long head of your tricep. Like I never did any overhead stuff. And so then I spent the next 5 years just doing overhead stuff, which made a huge difference.
I think a lot of people as well, because if they like bench press and stuff, they're going to get like the heavy tricep work in there anyway. It's like finishing off with like a long head tricep exercise.
Again,
like
it's like working the stretch. Loads of research is out, like you should work in like the length and ranges. So everyone's doing like extreme length.
extreme length.
But it's, John Meadows was doing this shit years ago, where it's like get it full of blood and then do like a lengthen movement whilst it's filled with blood, so it's more safe.
Yeah.
Like I probably wouldn't start my tricep workout with heavy overhead.
No.
Like I would tear something, but at the
You do
end,
some presses or whatever.
absolutely.
Tends to be at the end of the exercise, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
yesterday, it was like push downs and then overhead extensions.
Yep.
Job done.
Mm-hmm.
Biceps.
Preacher.
Incline dumbbell
Preacher
curl.
is a good
Preacher
one.
curl, yeah.
Incline dumbbell.
I love incline dumbbell curl.
An incline dumbbell. I know.
Length
Yeah.
and range.
Yeah. I would say that's probably helped my biceps the most lately. Like an actual incline dumbbell where you're letting your arms come, because most people, they don't do them right. They let their elbows come up.
Yeah.
They finish the curl up here. There's no point doing the incline dumbbell. Like you should be ending with the dumbbell by like under your tit kind of thing. But
Even when people curl and they do that, it's like that's a shoulder movement
Yeah.
from to the top. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But once the bicep is flexed, it's flexed.
Yeah.
I'd probably say like concentration curls are probably pretty
Pretty
bad.
naff.
Yeah.
Like again, you could do a preacher curl or something instead. But it's one of those things where like, oh, like this, like what's the worst exercise for biceps? It's like, well, your bicep has two functions: to supinate and to flex your elbow.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, it's probably all right.
Yeah. It's not that complex.
Yeah.
One thing I don't like, for me, I'm not against it, is like barbell curls. They just hurt my elbows. It's like almost like
Yeah,
I'm
like
almost like curling like that because I
and-
can't hold the bar
yeah, and
properly.
You see a lot of people get, is it golfers, tennis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
my
get a
my
lot of
left wrist doesn't fully supinate,
Yeah.
so I'll use an easy bar. Otherwise, I've got one elbow flaring out and the other one's fine.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
That's why I like dumbbells. It's just a little bit more free range motion.
like a cable curl's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rope hammers. I like a rope hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think hammer curls are a bit overrated.
Yes. Yeah.
I think for a while everyone was they're great for like that, I don't know, that part of your forearm.
Yeah.
But it's like it's still a curl, and you're missing the supination as well.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I think I would definitely go like a machine preacher. Whenever there's like we were in the gym in that hive the other day, and there was a machine preacher. Gave that a good hammering.
yeah.
Gave that a good, hey.
Okay, so now let's just go into like exercises that you should probably just flat out avoid if your goal is to build muscle. Like Turkish gaps would be in one.
Anything with a kettlebell.
Anything with a kettlebell probably.
Anyway, you're trying to do like too many muscle groups in one movement.
Hybrid exercises I can't stand.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're going to do a reverse lunge bicep curl.
Yeah,
Into a shoulder press.
shambles.
When
Shambles.
and it's like, oh, you're going to step up into a shoulder press.
Thrusters. Something
yeah.
like a thruster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It's that thing where like do a bicep curl and then do a reverse lunge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you think that, like, what are you trying to overload? Because even if you, oh, my biceps are fried, it's like, yeah, but your legs haven't done anything. Like
If you're lunging and curling the same weight,
I can't.
you're
I
really off the
I
mark.
would love to look at your physique. Your biceps would be like bigger than your legs.
Yeah.
I think those movements are quite poor. Like Olympic lifts, not great.
No.
Again, just really poor time and attention. Massive. It's a sport in and of itself.
Yeah, massive reliance on just
Huge
on like
skill component.
momentum.
Yep.
Like when they, you see like a clean, like you're looking to just like yank it off the floor, get as much speed on the bar as possible, so it's almost just flying. Then you travel underneath it, and then you front squat. It's like, well, just get a really strong front squat and then a really strong pull if you want, like a Romanian deadlift.
Yeah.
That's going to serve you much better than a clean.
I think like even
Do you train forearms?
No.
no, just the right one.
Yeah, that's overtrained. That one, isn't it?
Muscle imbalance.
I think like even like calisthenics is very limiting. Like if you're not very strong relative to your body weight, they can be useful up to a point because you're basically training quite heavy. But then even like a push up is a great movement, and by no means am I saying like push ups are a bad exercise. But if you're really good at push ups, the amount of push ups you need to do
To create any
to
sort of
create
muscle
any
damage,
kind
yeah.
of like muscle building stimulus, like you're going to be doing like 1,000 a week kind of thing.
It's hard to scale in terms of like progressive overload and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
Another one that we just spoke about, like things that challenge your stability, so you're going to be limited there.
like handstand push-ups and
Push-ups,
things. It's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
Like even like sort of like single leg training, if you like struggle with your balance, they can be inefficient for like building muscle.
but yeah,
Anything with a Bosu ball, you see those people like standing on a Bosu ball and stuff.
Yeah.
Crap.
I want to say like even bands aren't great because the strength curve is just so off.
Yeah.
From
What was that person? He's like, oh, you'll 10x your muscle gain if you train with these bands or something. Was that a machine?
I don't know. I
He's
just want to grab one of them and
Yeah,
just
it's like-
flick it at him. Just, yeah.
Who was it the other day? It's one thing like it may hold some value. It doesn't hold any value to me. is like, who is it? Someone was doing like a deadlift on a Smith. And then they got the bands, so like the reverse pulling bands. So it's like assisting the lift up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, mate, just use a lighter weight, mate, that you can actually lift. Things like that.
People went through that phase of doing reverse band pressing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's like works better with your natural strength curve. So less stress at the bottom and then gets harder at the top. I like, again, sounds great on paper. But then I also just look, it's like there's millions of people that have never used a band that got pretty jacked and pretty strong.
Yeah.
Like, mate, Ronnie Coleman.
Just by using gravity.
Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler. Two massive, absolute massive chests. They're not like, you never saw guys having the band help pull it up. It's,
The practicality of it as well, like taking your bands in, like you see on like your leg press, people like putting the bands on. It's like, it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
They make simple exercises look way more complicated than they need to be. And like the setup is so long. Count them off. They're out.
There we are.
So I think and again, this whole topic is if your goal is to build muscle mass. We're not talking about performance. We're not talking about function, like any of those things. So
there's normally, like they say, like bench, squat, deadlift, pull up, dip. Those are like the common ones. People say, oh, if you want to get really big, you want to be able to bench, squat, deadlift, pull up, dip.
They're the exact 5 that my dad taught me when he said, if you get really strong at these, and like, I completely agree with him. It gave me a great foundational base. Do you need to do those 5 to build muscle? Absolutely not.
None of them were in what we just said.
No.
It was literally like, so now it would be like, if you were telling your kid.
If I was going to say it again, I was like, if you just want to get big, you need to do a chest press, a incline dumbbell chest supported row, or like a chest supported row, a leg curl,
a lateral raise,
a leg press, and a lateral raise. Like, and if you did those, and then like, maybe like a curl and an extension. Like if you just did those 7, you'd be pretty solid.
Yeah.
It's like those big 5. It's like, what does our old mentor say? It's like, you're 99% correct, 100% wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, but again, like, we wanted to be strong as well.
Yeah.
So like, and we have spoke about this before, but like when you're a beginner, the programming that you would use to build muscle and get stronger are pretty much identical. And then as you progress, they get more and more separated. So if you just want to get stronger or you want to build muscle, the more advanced you get, your programming is completely opposite. Maybe there's some similar movements, but your rep schemes, your frequency, the types of movements to kind of build weak areas are going to be different. Like it starts to get really polarizing. And this is where people kind of shit on the power building stuff. It's like pick a lane.
But also, like, you don't need much stimulus. As a novice, you don't need much stimulus to build muscle. That's why, like, walking lunges or Bulgarian splits, where the balance is a little bit off, they can still do the job really well because you don't need much stimulus. But then, like, when you see like advanced bodybuilders, for example, who are trying to just get as much muscle as they can and they've already got loads, you don't see them doing that stuff because that is never going to cause the stimulus that they're going to need in order to build any more than they've got. So you'll see their exercises actually go more and more and more controlled. So there's less sort of room for balance. And
really, when it comes to picking movements, like pick movements which are safe, easy to learn, and where the muscle that you're trying to work is the limiting factor. Like, something like a front squat or a Zercher squat or something like that. Again, they sound cool, but like front squats, you're limited by how much you can hold on your shoulders and your mid back strength, not your legs. Zercher squat, it's how much you can hold in your elbows. And so you could say like, they're not bad movements, but if your goal is to get big legs, you could just do a leg press and work your legs. And then if you want to work your back, then do a row. And, because I've worked with guys where they really don't want to let go of that like functional side. And it's like, but you're not able to overload those muscles enough with those movements with how advanced you are. Like you need to give some of that up, and get on the leg extension, the leg curl, the leg press, and bro it up. Again, how many pro bodybuilders do you see doing a fucking Zercher squat? Zero. They'd be like, how do you spell that? Like, I've never heard of it. So, and again, like success leaves clues. Like you look at what the top guys are doing. And again, we said about this, like maybe you don't mimic exactly what they're doing, but they've probably got a pretty solid trend of what they've done over the last decade that you can pick up on. So all in all, avoid Turkish get-ups, burpees, kettlebells, unstable surface training, Olympic lifts, and you'll probably be all right.
Yeah. There we are.
But thank you for tuning in, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube's
YouTunes.
That's a new one.
iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes, and we'll see you next time.
If you love this show, please like, share, and leave us a 5-star review so that we can help more people. I'm John Madsen, Superhuman CEO, reminding you to always go get what's yours.